welcome to the Edge 100 training. Today we're going to talk about procrastination. Because at the end of the day, unless you know how to conquer that game, you're always going to go around in circles. So we have right now on Zoom, we have the Edge community. We also have the guys who are joining us in this 100-day challenge. If you're watching this right now through YouTube, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And most important, make sure you connect with our community. All right, so let's give you the framework. So if you're going to join me in the next 4 weeks, here's what we're going to do. The next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about, number one, procrastination. That is this week. Because unless you conquer procrastination, like I said, you're going to be running around in circles. The second week, we're going to talk about the neuroscience of the Edge 100 challenge. Because you have to understand, there is a science behind this method. Most people give up because they don't have a system and a process. If you follow the science of living your life 100 days at a time, you're going to be able to conquer 2026. Third week, we're going to talk about access and flow on demand. We constantly are going 100 miles an hour and we get burned out. But you knowing how to access and flow on demand is going to stop you from getting burned out. And the last week, we're going to talk about how to do more without burning out. I call this my strategic plan of action. I promise you in the next 100 days, you will accomplish more than you've done in an entire year. So let's begin. So one thing I learned is that personality doesn't scale. None of you guys who are watching this want to be like Raul. All right? Every single one of you is a high performer, is a high producer. You want to know, how does Raul does what he does? How does he constantly have the edge? See, if I teach you my personality, it's going to be impossible for you to be like me. That's the reason for the past decade, I haven't focused on personality. None of the guys who I coach one-on-one want to be like Raul. Every single one of them, they want to know how can they sharpen their edge. But I believe what stops man from accomplishing their goals is very simple. Not having a system and a process to stop procrastination. Procrastination is the number one killer of everybody's goals. So if you don't have a system to stop procrastination, you're going to hit a wall every single day. So let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing something that should be done. You put in something that you're supposed to do either habitually or intentionally. See, I call this the rule of insanity. Knowing what to do but not doing it. That's the crazy thing. We all know what to do but we don't do it. Why? Because we procrastinate. And we think that if I could only be like that guy, if I could only have this, if I could only do that. But the reality is procrastination is in your DNA. See, what is the one thing that right now you could think of that you have been procrastinating on? So if you get real with yourself, ask yourself, what is that one thing right now that last year you procrastinated and right now you know you should do, but you're not doing? And then add to this, what is costing you in the long run? What is costing you to procrastinate in the long run? Are you procrastinating in your health? Are you procrastinating in your relationships? Are you procrastinating in your business? What is costing the long run? Now watch this. This is the magic. This is where most people don't get this. What is costing you in the short run? So guys in Zoom right now, raise your hand if the pain of the long run is bigger than the short run. Which is longer? Raise your hand if the pain in the long run is bigger. Raise your hand if the long run, the procrastination is bigger. All right, raise your hand if in the short term, procrastination is more painful. Short term. So here's what you guys are going to see, doing some market analysis here. The long run is more painful than the short run. See, the short run, there is very little pain. That's why we don't do the shit that we say we're going to do. In the long run, there is pain. I know I have to lose weight. I know I have to get my finances right. I know I have to start having date nights. In the long run, you're going to be overweight. In the long run, you're going to run out of money. In the long run, you're going to feel disconnected. But in the short run, man, it feels good to procrastinate. Man, it feels good to say, you know what, I'm going to wait to do it tomorrow. I'll work out tomorrow. I'll implement this business strategy tomorrow. You know, I'll talk to my wife and my kids tomorrow. You know, let me just watch some TV. Let me just, you know, go out a little bit with my friends. See, that's the reason that we procrastinate, because the pain of the long run, of the long term, is more painful, but in the short term, We have immediate gratification. See, we're all addicted to immediate gratification. See, who is going to wait 12 months to get their reward? See, that's what happens. Most people fail because waiting for 12 months to get rewarded for something you're doing right now subconsciously leads to procrastination. That's what most high achievers don't have 12-month goals. They measure their business by quarter. They measure their business in 30 days, 60 days. At the end of the day, that's why most people fail on the year-long goals, because they don't have enough pain to execute. Procrastination is the number one killer of your dreams. So I want you to think about this right now. If you only had 100 days to get things done, what would you do? Actually, let me give you a better one. Let's say you're going to go on vacation 100 days from now. Most of you will wait until like the 99th day, and the last one day you will put all the energy into it, because that's what happens. Every single time that we go on vacation, the last couple of days, man, we get more productive, we get more dialed in, because there's urgency. Today we're going to talk about how do we create that urgency. How do we create the system and the process to kill procrastination once and for all? But it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not here to promise you that, just drink this pill, do this hack, have this meditation, try this, and all of a sudden everything's going to be fine. No, this is going to take some time. It's going to take some work. But I promise you, in 100 days from now, you're going to be a completely different man. Because if you get this part, if you only get to kill that monster that is procrastination, I guarantee you that this year is going to be 10 times better than the year before. And the compound effect will keep you growing and growing and growing. So let's begin. 4 ways to kill procrastination. All right? First is track your daily habits. Because the reality is that you cannot kill what you don't see. Here's what most people do. They don't identify their patterns. Part of this 100-day challenge, part of what you're doing here with me, is we're going to become masters identifying patterns. See, the moment that you start identifying patterns, you have to ask yourself, what is the pattern for my procrastination? Why do I continue to procrastinate in my business and my health and my marriage? We just came out of this workshop this past week, and we talked about the 100 days. The first 30 days is tracking your habits. That's what I'm going to do. I want you to start tracking your habits and ask yourself, what is causing my procrastination? Why do I continue not to do the shit that I know that I should do? Why do I continue to stumble in the same rock? Why do I continue to sabotage myself? Because see, the moment that you have awareness, you can measure the impact, you can measure the effect, and what you don't measure doesn't get done. So the first step is track your daily habits in the 4 key areas. We talk about integration. See, we don't believe in balance. Here's part of having the edge is never looking to have balance again. So I'm going to save some of you guys right now that have been searching the internet, every single night looking for a balanced life. Right, I have here a bunch of entrepreneurs in Zoom. Daniel, switch the camera here. I want to see. Raise your hand if you guys feel balance. Like if you could balance. Nobody's raising their hand here. As entrepreneurs, we don't have balance. We have what we call integration. So let me ask the entrepreneurs here. Raise your hand when you go to your business, you're 100 in your business. Raise your hand. Every single one of these crazy motherfuckers, when you go into business, they're going all in. The key here is, can we use the same intensity in our business, in our health? The guys who are part of the program, raise your hand if when you're in the gym and you're working out, 100% intensity goes in there in a 15 minutes intervals. Raise your hand. See, we got all the guys who we coach, they know that the game is not balanced. The game is integration. How can I give 100% of myself in my business? How can I give 100% of myself in my health? How can I give 100% of myself to God? How can I give 100% to my wife and kids? So what I want you to do this week is just track your habits. Let's begin with that. What are some of the habits right now that are causing procrastination? What are some of the things right now that you're doing that that you know you need to change. See, one of the habits I started tracking, and I shared this with the guys who were at the workshop, is a night routine. So I've been looking for, I have a great daily routine, morning routine. Raise your hand if you guys have been practicing the ritual daily routine. All the guys in here, they know that daily ritual, the EDGE protocol, is one of the main tools that we teach. I've been practicing a daily routine for the past 15 years. But here's where I've been slacking, is a night routine. So the night routine, I try different things, meditation, stretching, different things. But one thing that's working for me right now, and I do not recommend this, is espresso. All right? I have espresso at night. I drink espresso, and I sleep like a baby. All right? But before the espresso, I have a red light therapy. My body goes into a state of relaxation. And then for some reason, the espresso, man, it just rewires my mind. It's crazy because I could drink espresso in the morning, and I'm wired. But for some reason, my mind thinks that let's work on reverse at night. But you gotta, my habit was just being busy, watching emails, working right before going to bed. I needed to find something, a habit that stops me from having my mind constantly working on my business right before going to bed. So you gotta track, what are you doing for your body? What are you doing for your being? What are you doing for your business? What are you doing for your bonds? Because unless you are tracking your habits, unless you are looking at what causes procrastination, you're always going to react to life. So the first part of knowing what causes procrastination is tracking your habits. The second is identifying who is taking action. See, we believe here that every man has an archetype. Okay, the archetype of the peasant. What is the peasant? The peasant is that version of you that lacks vision, he lacks discipline, he's reacting instead of leading. That version of you is the peasant that thinks that the world owes him something. So when you act like a peasant, see, the peasant is afraid. The reason he procrastinates is because he's afraid to try. He's afraid to try. He's afraid to actually get shit done. So he's constantly putting things out because the peasant mentality doesn't allow him to grow. See, are you acting like a peasant? Is the peasant version of you, the complainer, the victim, the one that blames everyone, is that the one that procrastinates? See, we all have that version of ourselves. But you have to catch him before he sabotages your life. The other part is the warrior. The warrior is the one who gets shit done, but see, he acts without consequences. He's all about himself. He's always thinking about what's in it for me. Well, if I do this action, how am I going to benefit from this action? And see, most of the warriors, they procrastinate because they're afraid to fail. That's the warrior mentality. I don't want to fail. I'm afraid to fail because his identity is based on success. The warrior's identity is based on, man, I'm only as good as I could kill. But the moment that he gets punched in the face, he gets gun shy. And see, most warriors, they step into the sedated warrior stage. The sedated warrior stage is the one who looks good from the outside and is full of uncertainty in the inside. And he's focused on the past success and past failure. So the reason that he procrastinates is because now he's afraid to be judged. Man, I don't want people to think that I don't have success. Man, what would they say if I go to a seminar? What would they say if I go to a personal development? What would they say? What would they say? That's why he thinks. That's why he procrastinates, because he's constantly thinking about what others think of him, because he has to hold his frame, his position of having it all together. How many of you guys here in the Zoom could relate to that? Pretending that everything is fine. Raise your hand. That's why we all know how to be pretenders. We all know how to play that game. And see, that's the part where you have to break the pattern of pretending that you have your shit together. That's why I created this brotherhood, this community of men who we're not judging each other. We're actually just lifting each other up when we're down. Every single time that we come in calls, we talk about how can we level up as kings. As a king. See, the king is not looking to win the war. He's not looking to win the battle. He's looking to win the war. He wants the big picture. But see, even as the mindset of a king, we procrastinate. Even having the king mindset. Why? Because we procrastinate when we don't have a compelling future, when we are afraid of the future. When the future that we have, then we have uncertainty and we question ourselves. See, the common denominator in all this is fear. That's what procrastination feeds on. Fear. Fear of trying, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of letting people down. See, all these fears is what the enemy uses to keep us stuck in procrastination, to keep us stuck in a state of waiting till tomorrow. That's what we have to acknowledge our fear, and that's the next step, acknowledging our fear. See, I believe every single man, we have to understand to rewire fear. Fear is not bad. Fear is just feedback. Feedback on what you need to work on. Feedback of what you have to overcome. See, you need to know what you need to overcome in order for you to tackle your fears. Who do you need to become? What version of you needs to stand out? What version of you needs to be fed? Because see, most of the time we feed the peasant. We become the victim. We start asking God and praying to God as a needy child as opposed to praying as a co-creator with God. And because that victim mentality is seated upon our DNA, we become complainers. Who do you need to become if you actually acknowledge the fear that maybe you don't feel like you have enough? Maybe right now your business has taken a hit. Maybe right now there's so much uncertainty in the market. Maybe right now your wife and your kids are distant from you. Whatever is going on right now, acknowledge that fear, because only through your acknowledgement that fear is going to begin to lose power. See, the only way that I know to help a man is to start sharing light into his darkness. The moment that you share light into your darkness, then you could actually do something about your situation. But who you are today cannot get you to the next level. That version that you are today doesn't have what it takes to fulfill your vision for tomorrow. See, for some of you, you've been told, oh man, you're good the way you are. Man, you're so successful, man, you made it. I see, the moment that you start buying into your own bullshit, that's the moment that you're gonna go backwards. You have to improve to outperform your past self. You have to improve in order for you to make sure that you're getting better and better, because it's just a matter of time that adversity hits your path. And that's the next step, which is creating urgency. See, I believe that's one of the reasons why most men procrastinate and they don't have the edge, because they just think that life is guaranteed. They think life is guaranteed. They think tomorrow is guaranteed. They think next year is guaranteed. They think, well, I'm going to do it next year. You don't have a sense of urgency. And because you don't have a sense of urgency, you overestimate what you could do in 1 year. You hype yourself up about the 1 year. You think you're going to have everything together next year, but the reality is that you don't know if you're going to live next year. You don't know if you're going to make it next month or next week. What's your sense of urgency? If you die today, can you honestly say that you gave it everything you fucking had? When I realized that every single day is an opportunity for me to become better, and I have to create a sense of urgency, I am not entitled to tomorrow. I get to wake up this morning. I get to do what I do. I'm not taking this moment for granted. See, most men take this shit for granted. That's why they don't never have that sense of urgency of creating a legacy. I want my kids to know that their dad gave everything he fucking had. Because most people underestimate what they could do in 100 days. And that's why you're here. To be able to accomplish more in 100 days than you did in 1 year. See, I've lived this the last decade. The last decade, I've built my life 100 days at a time. I've coached men 100 days at a time. I've seen businesses turn around 100 days at a time. I've seen marriages saved 100 days at a time. I've seen men get healthy 100 days at a time. There's nothing you could do that you cannot get better 100 days at a time. You could create a deeper connection with God. You could connect a deeper connection with yourself. The moment that you take this challenge with urgency, with intention, realizing that you're not promised tomorrow, the game will change. So here's what we're going to do. This week, I want you to get clear on the next 100 days. In order for this to work, you have to get clear on what are your outcomes in the 4 areas: your body, your being, your business, your bonds. The 4 key areas: your health, your connection with God, your business, and your relationships. In order for you to get clear, then the next question is, who must you become in the next 100 days? Who must you become as a leader? Who must you become as a man? Who must you become in order for you to get to where you want to go? Because here's the truth: who you are right now doesn't have the capacity, doesn't have the skills, doesn't have the determination, discipline to go to the next level. The moment you acknowledge that, then you have 2 choices. You either feel sorry for yourself because you don't have what it takes, or you use that and you fucking execute. And you tell yourself that you're better than this. And you tell yourself that you've been called for something greater. See, the moment you start realizing that your best years are not behind you, but it's the opposite. If you're a man over 50 right now, you're entering your power phase. A man over 50 could do more in 1 year than he did in 5 decades. A man over 50 right now has the wisdom, has the capacity, has the experience to be able to execute at a higher level. So if right now you're sitting down thinking, man, Raul, I don't know what you're talking about, my past years are behind me, that is a bullshit story that you keep telling yourself. If you could take the next 100 days and give it all you fucking got, I guarantee you could turn around your marriage, your business, your health, and your life. And if you've been rolling with me already for many years, take this 100 days as if this was going to be the last 100 days of your life. That's the urgency that we need to create. Raul, what can I do the next 100 days that could bring intensity, I could bring intention to it, that I could actually see that, man, if this was my last 100 days, I could be proud that I lived this way. Don't leave nothing on the table. Create disruption. Give it everything you have in your marriage, your connection with God, in your business, with yourself. Make sure that there's no excuses, and every single day you keep showing up. Because nobody's coming to save you. I promise you this: you bring that intensity, you bring that intention, and you start measuring your habits to see what is taking you off your track, what is creating procrastination, what's stopping you from going to the next level, who is running the show. Those are the 2 things this week that I want to catch. That's it. This week we're going to focus on my habits and who. What and who. What and who. Once you start looking at the what and the who, what's causing you procrastination, who is showing up, then we're going to start working on the why. Why do I need to fix this? Why do I need to not let the peasant run my life? See, I know this because the peasant and the sedated warrior were constantly running my life. I was a victim of our circumstances. I complained, and I was a sedated warrior because from the outside, I looked good. But on the inside, I was full of uncertainty, fear, and doubt. Only when I started looking at life 100 days at a time, I'm giving myself the permission to reinvent myself, to work on myself, to do the inner work necessary to break through. It wasn't about anybody else, but it was about who I was yesterday. I wasn't competing with anybody except for myself. So if you take the next 100 days as a competition between you versus you, I guarantee you're going to win the game. So if you want to be part of this brotherhood that we have here, we're going to jump into questions and answers here. We're going to go deeper into the conversations. Join the call next time. Daniel, just put the link in there so they can know we have a workshop next month at the headquarters. And now we're going to switch over to the guys in the Zoom. Thank you for watching the channel. Make sure you comment. Make sure you follow. Make sure you connect. I want to take, before we end the YouTube, let's take one takeaway here from the Inner Circle guys, and we could plug you guys in. Darren, takeaway from this conversation. I don't know if you could put Darren in the, yep, excellent. Takeaway, Darren.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of them, and if I had to narrow it down to one, it's the willingness to continue to be uncomfortable in your growth and know that's how the growth comes is through the discomfort. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, it doesn't really matter what level you're trying to achieve. Anytime you're trying to go from point A to point B and reaching your real potential, it is going to mean being uncomfortable, and not just for a little while. It's going to be uncomfortable for a while, and you touched upon that earlier. And the willingness to know that that's going to be the case really gives me the confidence in going through the challenges and that discomfort that I'm going to go through in order to hit those targets that I know I can hit.
So let me ask you something there, because you've been working towards the 100 days for the past 5 years, right? We've been playing this game 100 days. How productive do you see like your 100 days versus when you used to live at a year at a time? What's the difference?
Oh man. So there's no such thing as perfection, right? So I want to put that out there first before I tell you. The 100 days really simplifies and compounds time. So it simplifies number one, and it compounds time number two. And what that allows me to do is just be extremely focused. And guys, if you're anything like me, when you're extremely focused, man, you're unstoppable, right? You're unstoppable. And again, it's not, there's no perfection here, but when I'm extremely focused, number one, and it's simple, number two, at the time, it doesn't feel like you're really making that much progress at the time. But after the 100 days and you look back, you're like, holy shit, look at this. Look what I've been able to do. And it really kind of then goes back to simplicity and being focused in that 100-day time period.
Awesome, awesome. So let's plug in Darren in the YouTube channel. Darren, you have a podcast as well. Tell us a little bit about your podcast. Tell about what do you teach on the podcast?
Yeah, so the podcast, I mean, you can search my name and you'll find me, but the podcast name is the Heartland Multifamily Show, and it really focuses on making the best kinds of decisions that you can make to scale your wealth, if it includes multifamily real estate. And many people want to be involved in multifamily real estate, know they should be involved in multifamily real estate, but it becomes a lot more confusing after that in terms of being as good as you can possibly be. And that's pretty much what my channel focuses on, is, you know, getting through all the BS to being as good as you can possibly be when it comes to being a multifamily owner or investor. And that's whether you're passive or active, by the way, either one.
So let me ask you something. Do you think there's going to be more opportunities or less opportunities this year in the multifamily space?
I can tell you for sure, there's going to be more. And so the question is, well, gee, Darren, how do you know that? I mean, how do you know that that's the case? Number one, I've been doing this for 30 plus years, so I got a little experience in seeing what's going on out in the market. So that's number one. Number two, I see not only the deal volume that we have already teed up this year, but in terms of the kinds of conversations that we're having with owners, operators, investors, it's going to be one of those kinds of years that I don't want to put my neck out there and say it's going to be record breaking. I want to fall short of saying that. I don't want to say that, but I got a feeling based on what I'm seeing, based on my experience, this could be one of those record-breaking kind of years.
I believe that. There's $1 trillion that are going to be due in the commercial real estate space. So anybody right now that's in the real estate space, you guys know that there's tons of opportunities out there right now. So what is the cost, Darren, if you procrastinate? Like, what will cost you this year if you procrastinate, if you don't use the 100 days as a challenge to stop procrastination and get it done? What will be the number? Just give us a top number of what will be the dollar amount that will cost you if you procrastinate.
Okay, so I'm going to give you two quick answers. Number one, I mean, it's in the overall value, net worth value, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's number one. Yep. But number two, I don't want to be down the road 10, 15, 20 years from now and my kids and my grandkids say, well, what the hell were you doing when this was going on? I mean,
Yep.
what were you up to? What were you, tell me when 2026, Grandpa, what were you doing, man? You know, I don't want to be having that kind of conversation. So
That's
yeah,
it.
there's a dollar amount, but there's also that, that legacy part of it too, man, that I mean, I owe it to be doing it the way that we're discussing the way it needs to be done.
And that's the punchline, guys. That's exactly the punchline. There is money right now that you're leaving on the table. For Darren, it's hundreds of millions of dollars of net worth. Some of you guys right now think, procrastination, I could do this next. For every single one of you in this Zoom, there's millions of dollars. For you guys watching on YouTube, only you know your capacity. Right? But I know there's money that you're leaving on the table. But the second, which is the worst, is regret. Regret, man. What you going to regret not being part of the change that's happening this year? What are you going to regret not giving it you all? So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. 2 claps.
2 claps. Excellent.
All right. See you next week. Make sure you follow the channel, and we'll end